Welcome to Shahi Effect.
ഇത്രയും സ്നേഹം നിറഞ്ഞ മാധ്യമപ്രവർത്തകരെ, പ്രിയ അഭ്യുദയ കംക്ഷികളെ, കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ കീഴിൽ പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന നോൺ ഓട്ടോണമസ് ആയ അഫിലിയേറ്റഡ് കോളേജായ ലയോള കോളേജ് ഓഫ് സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസസ് ഈ വർഷം മുതൽ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ കീഴിൽ അഫിലിയേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഓട്ടോണമസ് കോളേജ് ആയതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വാർത്താ സമ്മേളനത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പോൾ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ഫാദർ സാബു പി തോമസ്, ലയോള കോളേജിന്റെ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ, ഡോക്ടർ ശശി തിരു, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം, നമ്മുടെ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തിന്റെ എം.പി, ഫാദർ സണ്ണി കുന്നപ്പള്ളി ദ മാനേജർ ഓഫ് ലയോള കോളേജ്, Dr. Saji P. Jacob, the former principal and the present director of autonomy of Loyola College, and Father Ranjit, the Barsar of Loyola College. 1960-കളിൽ അറുപതുകളുടെ ആരംഭത്തിൽ ആരംഭിച്ച ലയോള കോളേജ് PG ആൻഡ് PhD പ്രോഗ്രാമുകൾ മാത്രം നടത്തി വരുന്ന ഒരു കോളേജായിരുന്നു. ഈ വർഷം UGC നൽകിയ സ്വയംഭരണ പദവി അനുസരിച്ച് കോളേജ് ഓട്ടോണമസ് ആയി. പുതിയ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തോടനുബന്ധിച്ച് അടുത്ത വർഷം മുതൽ 4 വർഷ UG പ്രോഗ്രാമുകളുടെ ആരംഭം കുറിക്കുന്നു. അതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ബ്രോഷർ റിലീസ് ചെയ്യുവാനും നമ്മോട് സംസാരിക്കുവാനുമാണ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രിയ നേതാവ്, നമ്മുടെ ജനപ്രതിനിധിയായ ഡോക്ടർ ശശി തരൂരിനെ പ്രത്യേകമായി ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു.
Thank you, Father Thomas, for ഇരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവർക്കും ഗ്രീറ്റിംഗ്സ്. ഇന്ന് ആവശ്യപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ 2 വാക്ക് പറയാനാണ്. മാധ്യമക്കാർക്ക് ആവശ്യമുള്ളത് മനസ്സിലാവുന്ന സംശയമില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഇത് കാരണമാണ് അവര് വീണ്ടും ഈ മറ്റന്നാളത്തെ ഫംഗ്ഷനും കൂടി ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ അവിടെ മലയാളം സംസാരിക്കാത്ത പല പേരുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങളുടെ അനുഭവത്തോടെ ഞാൻ 2 വാക്ക് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ പറയാം. I'd like to congratulate the Loyola College of Social Sciences, which has been distinguishing itself in our city, in my constituency, and in our beloved Tirunelveli for now 65 years of service on the acquisition last year of autonomous status. This is an extremely prestigious matter because only the colleges with the highest levels of accreditation from the NWC, in their case they have an A++, I think, double plus, and on top of that, an overall reputation for academic excellence, plus the facilities and the campus to justify it, would be granted such a status. I was, during my brief stint as a Minister for Education in the UPA 2 government, a strong advocate of autonomy in order to recognize the excellence of institutions like the Loyola College. And one of the things that I was very proud of, both as MP and as Minister, was how effectively Loyola College not only produced consistently impressive results and offered an extremely effective range of courses, but they also chose to accommodate people from the lowest strata of our society, the poorest communities around, and integrated them to give them access to the highest quality of education. This is a matter of social transformation, and I want to continue to congratulate the principal, the director, the students, and the faculty of the college for having become an instrument of change in the best possible sense of that term in our society with so much needs. Now, what is interesting in addition to the autonomous status is that Loyola has already decided to use their extra freedom to do a couple of things that I have been a very strong advocate of for many years in my involvement in education. One of the things that I have often lamented, and some of you may have heard me say this, was the fact that when we were in government, we commissioned Mr. Narayana Murthy of Infosys to write a report on academia-industry interface. That is, the common experience we've seen in Western countries like the United States, where academia is in regular contact with industry, where universities have affiliations that enable them to reach out to thriving companies, and where companies in turn might use universities in order, for example, to pursue research, develop projects where they may not have the brain power available in their company, but they will finance and support a university to do that kind of research, and the resulting product, if it's commercially marketable, will actually then be shared at the mutual benefit of the academic institution and the company. Now that doesn't exist or didn't exist in India at that time, and we applauded the report of Mr. Narayanamurthy, but it came out towards the end of our tenure in government, and I'm sorry to hear that subsequently it has been largely gathering dust. I believe that Loyola has done the right thing in reaching out to the private sector and establishing connections between themselves and companies in the actual workplace. We all know, for example, of the growing importance of the Birmingham International Container Port, which is going to essentially be formally commissioned any moment now. There will be a major conclave attended and inaugurated by the Chief Minister at the end of this month, on the 28th and 29th of January, on the ways forward for Birmingham. Well, Loyola has already found a way forward. They have contacted the Birmingham Police Port and are working in collaboration with the Adani Skill Development Center to ensure that some of their students, particularly the BCom students, will get the benefit of direct exposure to the kind of cutting-edge work that Adani is doing in Birmingham, and whatever is being offered at the Skill Development Center there will prepare the students of Loyola for tomorrow's marketplace. Similarly, they have also reached out to the Tata Consultancy Services, which, as you know, have a very significant campus in Thiruvananthapuram that they use to train their new recruits. But here the Loyola students will give themselves an opportunity to actually become new recruits in companies like TCS if the data science BSc students can directly have contact with TCS in the process. Now, to my mind, these are very important developments that must be applauded. We're not just celebrating autonomy for autonomy's sake. It is autonomy to do innovative things for the benefit of the students. One of the big priorities that anyone in Kerala, irrespective of their political beliefs or affiliations, must have is the great importance of reviving and strengthening the higher education landscape in our state. Yesterday, the Chief Minister made a statement about how he wanted Kerala to become a hub of higher education. For that, we need to see more freedom given to the autonomous colleges. I think the existing universities have to learn to let go. There is a famous expression that one of the ways you show love for somebody you care for is to give them their freedom. And that is how Kerala University should learn to love autonomous colleges. Give them their freedom. Let them develop their own ways of doing things, their own curricula, their own ways of teaching their curricula, their own approaches, their own connections to the industrial sector, the private sector. Because ultimately the objective ought to be that a degree from Loyola then becomes sought after, first of all by Malayalis who need to enter the workplace, who are looking at the moment for jobs outside our states because they don't have such opportunities in our state. So we are doing this also for our own state. But secondly, perhaps one day we can fulfill the Chief Minister's dream and become a hub that attracts students from elsewhere to come to our state as well. But we won't do that unless we give genuine autonomy to colleges like a college as deserving as the Loyola College of Social Sciences in Thiruvananthapuram. I'm going to stop there because I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'll be happy to answer your questions. Otherwise, but let me just add that the very impressive range of courses that Loyola is already offering, and I had a list in front of me that I was very impressed by this: BCom Finance and Accounts, BCom FinTech and AI, which is a cutting-edge 21st century requirement. And now they're starting BCom Logistics and Supply Chain Management, which at a time when we have Birmingham coming on in Thiruvananthapuram as a major logistics hub, you can imagine how useful this new course is. Then, of course, there's the usual BSc Psychology, BSc Data Science, Bachelor of Social Work, which Loyola is already famous. But what I like with this is that you are going to combine academic foundational knowledge with practical experience and real-world connections to the actual marketplace. This is something that is hugely important. I think it will ensure that students benefiting from these experiences will find placement much easier, will find it much more feasible for them to go into the real world. I remember when I headed the All India Professionals Congress nationwide, the organization that I founded in the Congress Party, the Kerala chapter of that conducted a survey of Kerala engineering graduates, and there had several thousand responses. And they found that 66% of Kerala's engineering graduates were today in jobs that did not require the engineering degree they had. Their studies were irrelevant to the jobs they found, either because what they learned was not what the marketplace wanted, or what they learned was out of date, or simply because they are being taught out of old-fashioned textbooks with no connection to the 21st century's needs. Loyola and this kind of approach, that will change. We want students coming out who are ready for tomorrow's marketplace. And that is what is going to make Kerala a completely different environment for students. I urge the government, Kerala University authorities, and all people of goodwill in the state who are interested in higher education to applaud and to support this groundbreaking initiative. Thank you very much. I'll take your questions now. Jay. ചോദ്യങ്ങളോ സംശയങ്ങളോ വരുമ്പോ all good? വേറൊന്നുമില്ല ഈ മുഹമ്മദ് ഏത് കൈ കാണിച്ചതാണ് പിന്നെ everybody else? Okay, thank you very much. The brochure is going to be released now, please. Copies are being distributed to you. There have been copies with the margin. Thank you very much.
കൂടുതൽ വിശേഷങ്ങളുമായി വീണ്ടും കാണാം. അതുവരെ ഏവർക്കും നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.